Welcome back to Vikings Game Plan from the TCO studios. Paul Allen, Ron Johnson, Pete Bercich. You know, we touched on the Vikings running game way atop the show with the matchups. And when you think running game, you think Dalvin Cook. So, Pete, we begin with you. Is it just as easy in terms of finding continuity with the Vikings offense to say, just run Dalvin more? Is that too easy and or obvious?
No, I think that it starts with obviously running Dalvin Cook, but even the play actions and things off of Dalvin Cook and what we've built on and what you try to build on him offensively, the timing has just been off. And you can't make it too obvious. You have to find another way to respond to that. So I think you start with Dalvin and then you build off of that.
Well, when you look at this offense, and last week, Packers game, the play sheet, Thielen, Cook, Madison. It was like a song, Thielen, Cook, Madison.
Whoa.
This week, what happened? Thielen, Cook.
That.
Wait,
do that again.
Thielen, Cook, Madison. Thielen, Cook, Madison.
Anyway.
Yeah. So when you look at that, though, he started the game the same way. Play action to Thielen, hand it off to Cook. There was no Madison, but it's the same song and dance. I understand Kubiak's offense. I am never going to second guess a Super Bowl winning coach. I want to see if that's the game plan to kind of get some early passes to open up the run, then be on purpose with the run going forward. Dalvin Cook had 2 explosive runs, and then we never saw it again. So it is as easy to say let Dalvin loose, but do it. Like if you have a guy in Drew Samia and you have some of these bigger role grade guards in the game now and Elflein's out, let him go forward. That's what he's good at. He's good at grappling and grabbing guys and just being a brute force. The explosive run came off the right guard last time. And so that's what I want to see. Let Dalvin loose, but use the guys and use what they're good at on the offensive line.
Peter, let's jump to the other side. And you being a former linebackers coach for the Vikings 02 to 05, I'm sure there were a fair amount of new or inexperienced players with whom you were working, but you had organized team activities, mini camp, full training camp, preseason games, the whole thing. Clearly, the Vikings in the NFL did not. So how do you get around so much new and so much inexperience on the Zimmer defense?
Well, I think the only thing you can do is try to keep things simple. And now that you lose Anthony Barr, you have yet another veteran that's out there, or that you lost. So wanting to disguise and do the things that we've seen the Zimmer defense do, showing too deep and playing with 7.5 men in the box. I don't think you have that luxury anymore, Paul. I think you just kind of have to keep it simple. I think you're gonna have to be more aggressive. I think you're gonna have to blitz a little bit more, get these guys moving forward, get them going that direction. And that means putting more one-on-one stress with the corners on the outside. And unfortunately, they're young, but they're going to have to grow up really quickly here because you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You have to stop the run, especially against this Titans team. You're going to have to put 8 guys in the box. You're going to see some one-on-ones in the back end. Hey, that's fine. You got to live with it. You got to make Tannehill beat you. You can't just let Henry run up and down the field on you.
Ron, you got any answers for us?
Yeah, I like what Pete said. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what my dad used to always say. When you keep it simple as a defensive back, the biggest thing is cover 2. That's the easiest coverage for those guys to know. 2 safeties off the hash. You get a guy like Eric Kendricks who's really good in coverage up the middle of the field, like a Tampa 2 when you saw Derek Brooks and you saw a lot of these guys do that. Cato June with the Colts. Tony Dungy made a living off running the Tampa 2. The Bears did it with Brian Urlacher, same thing, up the middle of the field. When you have a dynamic linebacker, you can do that. When you have young corners, just let them play press man or press and then sit in their zones. Let the quarterback have to figure out the coverage. You can disguise a little bit. You can show cover 4, let the corners walk up and just hit a receiver in the mouth. They have to get a little bit more physical, but get physical without worrying about, okay, now do I have to cover this guy? Just beat him up like he's a gunner, let him loose to the flat or wherever he's gonna go or the safety has help. And then a guy, especially a guy like Tannehill, he'll make some errant throws where he think the cover 2 is there, and you have 2 really good safeties that if you have a receiver running a quarterback, I trust Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith to make an interception. So you might want to keep it a little bit more simple, and then, like Pete said as well, blitz. In cover 2, you can get a ton of cat corner blitzes off of that, where your guys are they're looking like they're going to jam, and they're just coming, and the quarterback has no idea. So that's another way to add some pressure.
And finally, and you know what, the audience or the cast may think I'm joking with this. I'm not. The Minnesota Vikings are 4 for 4 on 2-point conversions. I mean, not every single time, but shouldn't we be doing that? Like once we score more touchdowns, shouldn't we be doing that almost every single time?
I'd say yeah. I mean, look at Moneyball, analytics guys. What do they say? You look at the stats right now. 60% of 2-point conversions are converted in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's a dumb number of like 1 point. That's 1.5 points throughout the game. So instead of 1 every single time, you might get 1.5 because you have a chance of doing it. So, I mean, at this point, why not?
Well, I've never seen a team win a game by half a point, you know, and I think the 2-point conversions, when they're happening, unfortunately, has been later in the game, trying to play catch up. You know, the red zone and the 2-point area, that's where you get creative. You have a Dalvin Cook. I agree with you, Paul, but you have to get a feeling for the game. If we're moving the ball on the ground really, really well and you have that momentum, I absolutely agree with going for 2. Sometimes, though, early on, kick that extra point. It's more sure than the 2-point conversion. I know over time and the statistics and everything, but you're not guaranteed to have 2, 3, 4 touchdowns in a game. You have to really, I think, be conservative early and then maybe later on go for it.
Yeah, that's that hardcore Chicago old coach player in you, right? Where you got to take the one every time you can get the one. And let me guess, if you were a head coach and you got stalled on the plus 23 or the plus 38, you'd punt, right?
It depends on my field goal kicker.
Yeah.
He'll take a penalty. He'll take a penalty first, and then he'll punt.
Yeah, I understand. Great job, guys. Ron Johnson, Pete Bercich, I'm Paul Allen. That's Vikings Game Plan from the TCO Studios. On behalf of the Vikings Entertainment Network, thank you for watching.